Success Story Day here at Inspired Coach Podcast. And we have a wonderful, beautiful You Life Coaching course graduate, alumni member, and success story for you today with the incredible Dr. Kirstey Holland. Now, Kirstey's journey with us, as you are about to learn ahead, has been anything but a smooth trajectory up or rise forward. And that is exactly why I think that this story, Kirstey's story, is so important to share. And so you're going to have to listen in to really understand what I mean by that. But let me tell you a little bit more about this incredible doc and coach before we begin. So Dr. Kirstey Holland is a distinguished healer who combines traditional Chinese medicine, functional medicine, naturopathy, and life coaching to create a unique experience for her clients. She blends ancient wisdom with modern science and formulates customized treatments that balances nature's force within the body. Dr. Holland's expertise expands beyond traditional Chinese medicine into the complex realm of functional medicine and her clients' personal narratives to identify root causes of unwellness and foster their holistic well-being. She is also a nutritional and environmental medicine specialist and empowers her clients to make nourishing choices and orchestrate their own harmonious healing journey. And so, yes, we are talking about here with Dr. Kirstey, a very, very experienced practitioner within the health, wellness, medicine realms, which she was well before she came to study with us at Beautiful You. And one of the things that you're about to learn about Kirstey, you're going to learn many things, but one of the things that you're going to learn with her success story is, as I mentioned at the top of the episode today, it has been anything but linear, anything but simple, and anything but straightforward. And in fact, Kirstey's learning and study experience with us as a trainee was actually quite sticky and difficult and messy for her. And you will hear her talk about that. You know, Kirstey is not one of those trainees that was able to fully show up at the time of her learning in the way that she might have wanted to, or we traditionally might see that someone does and then goes on to experience a direct level of success in their coaching and other related modality businesses in that way. Kirstey actually really struggled. Let's just get that out there. Really struggled throughout her learning. And it's taken her some time to reach the level of success that she is now experiencing, combining her life coaching with her medicine and other health and well-being qualifications, in particular within the realm of supporting people going through the life stage of perimenopause. And this is why I think this story is just so important. I think it is a really wonderful one because there is no question that this doc's success now is very real. It's very considerable. She is touching the lives of thousands of people around the world with her online programs and in her clinic. And she's really becoming what I would consider to be a thought leader in the area of perimenopause. But it's come through some challenges, and part of those challenges most definitely occurred during her study time with us. And so I love this story. I love Kirstey. I love this success journey, and I hope that you do too. And if you happen to be a trainee with us right now, or one in the future where you might be struggling with your learning, or you're finding yourself not able to fully show up in the way that you might like to, just really feel into and listen to Kirstey's story here, because despite the fact that she had those challenges while she was studying with us, she still went back to her materials afterwards, which everyone gets access to for life, and was able to ground herself back into what she wanted and needed to know, even well beyond the course, to now create the success that she is experiencing. I know you're going to love this one. I hope that you really enjoy the twists and the turns success story ahead. Dr. Kirstey Holland, welcome to Inspired Coach Podcast. I'm so happy to have you on as our guest today to talk about your really incredible success story.
Thank you so much, Julie. I'm so delighted to be here.
Kirstey, I want to begin this success story and journey with you today from a place of deep, radical, raw honesty.
Yes.
And I know that you do too, because yours is a very windy road to success. It is certainly not a straight up trajectory. And it begins at the time of you studying with us, and that actually being, and you have many other qualifications, which I want to talk about later in the show to give people a full spectrum of who you are, because you are way more than just a health coach and just a life coach. Not that there's anything wrong with being just those things.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. But when you first came to study with us, life was not really that great for you. And It had an incredibly significant impact on your time with us. So tell us a little more about what was happening for you at that time, and how did it impact how you showed up in the course?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Now I'm going to try to get through this without tears. I have actually shed tears today already in preparation for this conversation today, because I wanted to tell the now love of my life what it is. Oh, here we go. that the Beautiful You Life Coaching Academy did for me, and what it meant for me at the time. I do have many other qualifications, and the thing is that they weren't enough, and there's so many people out there that would look at those qualifications alone and go, oh my goodness, this is an incredible success story. But they weren't enough for me. There wasn't enough soul work that was brought into my daily practice as a primary healthcare provider and a doctor. So I needed what you were offering, and I had no idea that it existed. I had no idea. I had a girlfriend that tapped me on the shoulder after listening to me talk for probably months and months and months and months about what it was that I wanted to bring to my medical practice. And she said, I think I have a friend, and I think she might just have the thing that you need. And I pushed at a time where I really needed something like this. I needed to see evidence of women supporting other women. I needed to see something outside of the patriarchal framework from a business perspective, and I needed that evidence, and I also needed permission to work in this way in my practice. I was being significantly bullied by a woman who was abusing her power at the time, and I was a single mum. I have been a single mum since my son was 3. He's 17 in July. And I only met the love of my life 2 years ago. And so alone, completely alone in Australia with no family, and raising a little boy on my own, and, being the primary carer financially and physically for my son, and having this substantial bullying going on in my life at the time, which led me to be incapable of doing anything other than surviving. And when I say surviving, if anybody from the outside had looked in, they wouldn't have necessarily seen it that way. But it felt like survival to me. I was still going into my medical practice every single day, supporting incredible women in the way that I wanted to support them, despite the pain that I was going through myself.
Thank you so much for being so open and sharing that with us, Kirstey. And your tears are welcome. You know, these conversations, when we're talking about our lives, they can sometimes bring up a lot of emotion, and it's so okay to express that, even in so-called professional environments like this.
Yes.
And that's just part of breaking down that framework that you were talking about before, you know, that says that our emotions are not welcome, we must hide them, they're not valid. They're always valid. Sometimes
Absolutely.
we have to work out how we express them, but they're always valid, and they're always telling us things. Well, you came to us and we came to you at what was clearly a very, very challenging time for you in your life. And I know that anybody that has ever been bullied or trolled or had any significant experiences like that will really understand that. Mm-hmm. And you have been very open with me about the fact that, and some people might be really surprised that I'm about to say this and you're about to so-called admit to this. You did not turn up in the course or in your studies in the way that I know you might have wanted to.
Yes.
In fact, you barely turned up at all, but you still did in different ways. Tell us about your experience of studying with us and what that looked like for you.
It was an incredible secret. Like I had this invisible cheerleader, and she would talk to me in the morning when I was getting ready for work. And those were your lectures. And that's the only time I had to dedicate to the course in that way. So I would get myself up before my son got up in the morning, and I would, have a shower, and in between the noise of the water or the hairdryer, as soon as there was a moment of silence, on would go your voice. And I had this incredible cheerleader cheering me on every step of the way. And you were that evidence for me. Oh, gosh. Sorry.
That's okay. You're okay. You're doing great.
You were the evidence for me of everything that I wanted to see. And I was still, due to also family of origin, big T trauma spaces in my life where speaking up and finding your voice was not something that you did without being in a position of danger. So when I was in a position where I was being significantly bullied, and I was in survival mode, taking care of my son as a single mum without any family or real support mechanism in place, it was too dangerous for me to work on that self-actualization piece, in a sense. It was too dangerous for me for it to be heard, but it wasn't too dangerous for me to have this secret internal workforce and dialogue where every single day I knew that what was currently my reality was not going to be my reality for good. So I'm here to tell you that none of what was going on in my life got in the way of my secret internal positive dialogue about what I was going to create for myself just as soon as I had the space to do so.
Yeah, I think that is such a potent thing that you share with us, Kirstey, because the truth is that everyone turns up to an experience like training to become a coach in varying different ways. Mm-hmm. Some people turn up and they are very vocal and they ask a lot of questions. Other people might not necessarily ask a lot of questions, but they may submit a lot of written questions and written work. Some people love the Facebook group and they cheer others on in there, and they're connected and involved in all sorts of different ways. And then we also have trainees such as yourself, who, when you are with us for varying different reasons, are not very visible and are not very vocal at all. And you are teachers to us as well, because if it's one thing that I have learned, is that that does not necessarily mean that you are not absorbing information, that you are not doing the learning in your own way, in your own time, and of course that you are not turning up in the best way that you possibly can at that given time in your life. And that really is what you did, isn't it?
I feel like it was this secret superpower that I had. Like I said, I talk about this invisible cheerleader, and I was answering every single question that you ever asked in my mind and coming up with my own answers and my own way in the world, and did at that exact time develop my entire coaching style and continue to practice that to this very day. And it's amazing that you can actually learn like that when you want to too. You know, when you don't have time to put pen to paper, you literally are working a million miles an hour at your day job, looking after your little boy during the night. And, you know, you have this beautiful, gorgeous manual that you really don't even have time to fill out. But you don't for 1 second not read every single question and answer every single answer in your own head, and establish that and practice it. So that is possible too. Like, I want people to understand that often I think about it in my mind, it's like those little children, you know, those experiences or those case studies where the kids have such a shock, they suddenly are rendered mute and they're not able to talk. You know, it was that level of fear, and it was that level of learnt. You know, I was taught that you turned up, you were a pretty little girl, you were spoken, you know, you spoke when spoken to, you know, you didn't have an opinion, and if you did, it was potentially dangerous. And then, you know, during this time in my life where I was experiencing this bullying, it was too dangerous for me to work on that self-actualization level out loud, because, as you know, this is such incredibly personal, powerful work, and you need to do the work that your future clients or patients need to do.
That is so very true. And this is why the journey to becoming a coach, whether it's a life coach, a health coach, a business coach, a career coach, a spiritual coach, any sort of coach, is a journey that involves such significant personal development and growth as well. They absolutely go in tandem. And I think there are some people that know that when they step on this path, and there are others for whom it comes as a really significant surprise and they don't necessarily realize. So, Kirstey, let me just share with everyone now. Let's talk a little bit more about you and the work that you do, because we've established that you really leaned into your early learnings as a coach in a way that might not have been very visible or made a lot of sense to others, or that others might have made assumptions about, or she's not doing the work or anything like that, but that you were in your own way. And you've come to coaching, as you said, because you wanted something else to bring into your practice as, wait for it everyone, a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine with a double degree in acupuncture and herbal medicine, a practitioner of environmental and nutritional medicine, functional medicine, and naturopathy. See, I can't even get it out. A person-centered counsellor, and now a coach as well. What that thing that you were looking for, that you wanted to fold into all the other work that you were doing, did you find it? And how has it changed your practice and your work?
Absolutely, I found it. Absolutely. And it has been profound. It has been absolutely profound. I discovered, and I always knew, but again, I finally had the permission to bring this information to my work. I finally had the permission to voice the fact that you cannot separate the psyche from the soma, and that if women told me their stories, and if they really truly told me what was going on in their lives, I could honestly take that story and extrapolate it over the top of a biochemical hormonal template and understand what was going on inside of their bodies biochemically, because I had lived that.
Wow. I'm just letting that sink in for a moment. And I'm also sitting here in awe of you as a medical practitioner and somebody that was even just initially so open to opening yourself up to be able to work with your patients and your clients in a deeper way. And I want to share with everybody that I have had the great joy of working personally with Dr. Kirstey, who, and let's talk about this more as well, specializes in supporting women who are going through the life transition and stage of perimenopause. And that's something that I have been traversing the last 2 years of my life, and it's still ongoing at the moment. And working with Kirstey and taking one of her coaching health-orientated programs was of huge benefit to me, absolutely huge benefit. And I tell every perimenopausal woman I know about you, and I say, I have found you your angel. It is Dr. Kirstey. You must go to Dr. Kirstey. And so I'm just so happy for you that you feel that this has transformed your practice. And am I right in saying that since you've graduated with us, one of the things that you have been really inspired to do is now actually work in more of a teaching, training, coaching, group delivery type model? Tell us more about what you've created, because previously to this, you were doing amazing one-on-one work with your clients and with your patients. But what seems to have happened and has been a huge part of your now incredibly six-figure plus amazing, thriving coaching clinical practice success is that you're now working in a group coaching type model.
Absolutely.
Tell us, give us the goss.
You cannot separate your psyche from your soma. And my time is now. So, I always wanted it to be before now, but it wasn't. The time wasn't right for me. My time is now. And it's because I'm somebody that has never been able to do anything unless it has been congruent. So unfortunately for me, or fortunately, I have had to work through my story and my unlearning in order to get to a place where I feel that I am ready to deliver. And success to me is actually being able to voice. So, in the sense where I was so silent in the course because I was rendered unable to, or I didn't feel safe enough to voice my dreams, my opinions, my work, I now feel safe enough, and I feel congruent, and now is my time. So and I really have learned that you cannot separate the psyche from the soma. And I would never have been able to say this as a younger practitioner. And it has taken me 23 years of clinical practice to get to the point where I can honestly tell you that I know that I have been gifted something. And I know that there are many practitioners out there, but I know that there are not many practitioners that are also healers. And there is a big difference. And through
absolutely.
And through my experience and expansion with the Beautiful You Life Coaching Academy, that ability to integrate both, to tell my story and to integrate that with the biochemical model, has been one that I know that will not only change women's biochemistry and has not only changed their biochemistry, but changed their lives. So that's where the two so congruently align. And that's where the life coaching meets the health coach, meets the doctor, meets the biochemistry. and allows somebody to step into their power and their congruency so beautifully. So that is what I do in my programs now.
Amazing. I mean, gosh, it just honestly, my mind is sort of like blowing off its head, out of its head when I hear these sorts of things, because there are so many people, and there are critics of all sorts of industries, that think that something like life coaching or studying to be a coach, oh, what a silly, simple, flippant, unimportant, not very potent, very powerful thing to do. And then I look at someone like you and I think to myself, I mean, I know that to not be true. And I know that to not be true in my bones. And then I see the way that people such as yourself are living, breathing examples of what you use with medicine in your coaching practice and your clinical and medical practice as well. And I just think to myself, gosh, it's so extraordinary. So many people just don't understand, how potent and powerful the skills of learning to become a great coach can be. And Kirstey, you are now really developing a name for yourself as the go-to coach and doctor for all things perimenopause. Tell us, why is that particular health-related area for people just so important to you? Why has it become such a passion?
It's so interesting. I said to you that I needed to do all of this work in order to be congruent. And it so happens to align with a time in my life where I too am perimenopausal. But the story started a long time ago. I'm 47 in July, and I have never, ever been healthier in my life. I have never been more comfortable in my own skin. I have never had such incredible energy levels, and I'll be on point. I am 47 and I look my age, and I am my age, and I feel my age, and I'm happy about that. And I want every woman to step into the power of who she is, where she's at her age, and work against that mainstream thought process of, oh, well, I'm this age now, so yes, of course, these inevitable things may happen. No. I was a young woman who had lots of health issues. I had chronic fatigue syndrome. I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. My background is obesity and cystic acne, and I was extremely traumatized as a child and had a very, very difficult time with my own health, and was disillusioned by, although there are some incredible, let me just say, orthodox medical practitioners out there, and I work with lots of them, because we need a group approach these days to healthcare because it is so complex. But I was disillusioned with what it was able to offer me at the time. And I actually suffered things like metabolic syndrome and thyroid issues and insulin resistance. And these were all of the things that I was starting to see with the perimenopausal women that were coming to my clinic. And it's funny what you attract, right? You just, it's funny who is attracted to you and what you attract. And I found myself with this clinic full of perimenopausal women because I could identify with their issues and what they were experiencing, and I knew how to reverse them in a pro-metabolic way, in a pro-health way, so that they could ensure that their biochemistry was supporting them and not working against them. So it just kind of happened.
Yeah. Well, but it also happened in a conscious way because
Yes.
you are somebody that is so self-aware. I think that's evident to everyone that's listening and watching this interview right now. And you paying such deep, rich attention to yourself has given you so many clues and so much insight into how you could help your own clients as well. And so I know that earlier this year, or actually, no, it would have been late last year in 2022, that you launched your first group program around perimenopause. I know that that was an enormous stretch and challenge for you at the time.
Yes.
But I also happen to know that it was a huge success. And so tell us a little bit more about that. What did you do that that you feel contributed to the incredible success of that program, because it was a massive launch for you as something that you rolled out for the very first time.
Yes. And I am about to do it again.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, finding my voice. I think turning up. I had always been so petrified of giving people my opinion. And like I said to you, it's taken me 23 years in this space, in this clinical space, to understand that I do have an opinion that is worthy, and I do have a model that works. But you know, I don't know why it took me 23 years and all of these hundreds of women to show me that it worked, but that's the way that it's worked for me. And I do know that by me turning up and letting women honestly know that I knew how to help them, and backing myself and turning up on social media and speaking to people when there was nobody there. And I still have a very, very small social media following. So I often feel like I'm talking to nobody. But it's so amazing how somebody will tap you on the shoulder walking down the street and go, "Oh my goodness, I listened to you the other day." There's always somebody listening, and there's always somebody that can do with that beautiful positive message that you have to share in that day. And just turning up authentically and being who I am and sharing my message in a way that I believe it to be true. I think that is what really worked for me.
Yeah, you made yourself visible.
Yeah, and just being me, not
Yes.
pretending to be anybody else, and not, coming with any fancy kind of ideas or language, because I don't have that. I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily know how to sell, in a sense, and I know that that's something that I'm trying to learn about in business, and but it was literally just turning up, being me, letting people know what it was that I did and how I have seen it help other women and how it could potentially help them too.
Yeah. And there is no question in my mind, Kirstey, that is the core of your success. I would also like to say, if I can add my little opinion in there as well, that I really do believe that a part of your success here is because you have been very, very devoted to and crystal clear about your niche, your passion, and your area of service, and that is perimenopausal women.
Yes.
And I truly do believe that you honing in on that, focusing in on that, it's what you talk about every day. You do not waver from it. And you know just as well as I do, as somebody who is perimenopausal, that there are psychological impacts, emotional,
Yes.
physical, hormonal, spiritual, all sorts of things. There's fodder here that you could talk about for years. And you do that beautifully. You are somebody that has devoted yourself to this niche, and what I'm seeing happening for you is that you are developing just a brilliant expert name for yourself in that. And that is also helping you stand out. And whenever it is that we stand out, more people find us, come to us, and, consider working with us in varying different ways, or referring people to us if it's not relevant for us at the time.
And then we're able to see the beautiful work that we do for other people. And that is evidence for you that what you are doing is working. And that is such a beautiful thing.
It so is. It 100% is. And I see that momentum happening in your work all the time. Well, Kirstey.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh, of course. We now know, everyone now knows, because of your beautiful tears and your raw honesty, that we didn't see a lot of you during your training. And I did not get to engage with you enormously, but this is why your story and the success that you're experiencing now is one that I truly, truly believe deserves to be told, because you are somewhat the antithesis in a way of what is usual. Because what we usually see is that the more visible and the more devoted someone is to their studies, that having a direct impact on their success. You were not visible, but you were still devoted.
I was so devoted.
So devoted. We just didn't see that. But boy, do we see your success and honor you for that now.
And I'm here to tell you that I am able to now, with all of the congruency, able to step into that space. And I'm excited about my position as an alumni in the Beautiful You Life Coaching Academy, so that this story can spread far and wide, and I can encourage women who need to do it in a secret way or behind closed doors or in their own mind. That work is still able to be done, and I'm here to tell you that you are able to facilitate that. And I know that that's probably something that you actually didn't know at the time either.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
So I'm here to say thank you so much. I am here to say thank you for that. And I did not once feel judged or shamed or anything. No. Every single time I reached out, despite my circumstances being so strange and potentially the staff going, oh, I wonder what she's doing behind the scenes. Every single time I reached out, there was only love and support coming my way.
Always. Always, for everyone in any way that they need it. You know, we do not turn up to life circumstances and experiences the same.
No.
We just don't. And so just loving and honoring you and seeing you for everything that you were then and that you are now, Kirstey. Congratulations on all of your incredible success.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Everyone, if you would like to learn more about Kirstey, please go to the podcast page on our website. Can I make particular mention that if you are a woman who either thinks you might be or knows that you are in the stage of perimenopause right now, that Kirstey is an absolutely brilliant person to connect with and learn more from. And I also want to finish up by saying today too that if you are somebody that is thinking of studying with us, is already studying with us, or already a graduate, whichever of those people that you might be, please don't be concerned or worried if you are somebody that likes to hang back a little bit, is somebody that may need to be a little bit more quiet, is not a question asker, is somebody that might do a lot more processing and learning in private and behind the scenes. We will not judge you for that. We will not call you out about that. We never would, because when we see people like Kirstey and learn from them years later coming back to us and saying, you know, I know that I was quiet during my time with you, but this is what I did. This is what I've been doing, and this is the success I'm having. We know that that just shores us up to understand even more that everyone comes into these experiences in different ways, and we honor whatever way it may be that you might turn up with us or have already.